Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to tackle a very important aspect of the Ultimate Ironman experience, and that is the different death mechanics. For many of you out there wondering, should you start Ultimate Ironman? One of the things preventing you possibly from starting one is it's so confusing. What happens when you die as an Ultimate Ironman? So today, let's just look really in-depth into it because I have a very high-level Ultimate Ironman and I've been playing for over 3 years. So, for starters, when you die as an Ultimate Ironman in the wilderness, you will lose everything on your body. However, you could create something called a death pile, where your items stay on the ground for 1 hour. So what this means is when I'm doing a hard clue here, which I believe is a wilderness step, this one's not, but it might eventually become a wilderness step, you usually end up having to create what's called a death pile, where all of your items stay on the ground. And there are many ways of doing this, and there are many locations where you could do it. But we're going to start from the very beginning. Before I was this high level with this much gear, before I had all these other options available to me, you die in Lumbridge and you spawn in Lumbridge. So let's go with that. So first of all, how do you get killed in Lumbridge? There are, I believe, men and rats here, but they're a little bit weak. They're level 2, and they're probably not going to be able to kill you in a fashionable amount of time. So let's think about creative solutions of actually how to die as an Ultimate Ironman near Lumbridge, near your death pile, essentially. So, to starters, you could die by venom or poison, and you're thinking, well, okay, that's fine, but it's still very slow. Actually, it's not. There is a very secret, well, I wouldn't call it secret, but there's a very interesting monster that most people ignore that has a very high poison tick damage that could probably kill you really fast, and they are the Buonas Trimens on Kromja. So let's go there right now. The best way to do this is to do Ardoon Teleport or the Fairy Tree if you have it, but that's kind of late game. I'm assuming you have Ardoon Teleport. That's a very easy quest that you should get out of the way ASAP. You come to, oh, that's the wrong, well, you could come here too, but you're supposed to go to Brimhaven or Kromja. And once you are on Brimhaven, you need to go to the southwest of the actual town to find some of these Buona boys. So let's just kind of fast forward a bit. You will also want to remove any armor you have, because the goal here is to get hit by these Buona boys. And the moment you get hit with any real damage, you will start a poison tick, which is 11 damage every 18 seconds. That's quite a bit of poison damage. Actually, a lot of hardcore Ironmans lose their status because of this mob right here. They underestimate the poison damage, and in their panic, they forget that you can log out every 15 seconds to reset the poison timer. That is a story for another day, because today we actually want to die by the poison. Now, something to note here is do not teleport to house. I'm going to show you that when you do teleport to house, your poison resets. Do not do it. If you do it, you have to come back and get hit again. You will make this mistake, and you will make it a couple times before you realize, okay, I can't teleport to house. And here I show you, when I exit the house, my poison is gone. Okay, back to the Buona boys. Okay, round 2. We have been poisoned again. Well, yes, and then we just wait in Lumbridge for the ticks to go through. I've speeded up the process so we can see the ticks a bit faster, and there are 11 ticking down until you die. Once you die, everything in my inventory, including everything in my bag, my looting bag, is on the ground. You can see that huge pile of loot, and now we can start doing whatever we want for the next 1 hour. Okay, so now what do you do once you have this pile? Well, the first thing is get teleport runes. Make sure you have no items in your inventory, because if you pick it up and you need to go to the wilderness, you might have to death pile again. One of the best ways is, if you have money stored in Nightmare Zone, come to Nightmare Zone, grab some cash, and then go to the Wizards Guild right nearby to buy your initial teleport runes. The other way is Ali Morrison, who opens a shop after you complete his quest and do the Rogues Trader minigame. And this shop sells runes, so you can teleport to Lumbridge and walk to him, and this is nice because he is very close to your respawn point. He sells both the advanced runes like law runes and the normal runes like fire runes and air runes, so you can teleport around. He also has a right click option now. When I made this video, I don't think he did, but here we go. We're going to buy some law runes and we're going to buy some normal runes, so now we can traverse the world and do our clues and whatever without fear. Yep. And now, lastly, let's talk about one more method in Lumbridge that really works well, and that is the spirit trees. This you do need some high level because you need to plant a spirit tree in the port serum here. And the goal here is we're going to just get a explorer ring. So you have if you have the Lumbridge diaries done to a point where the explorer ring can give you infinite teleports to the farming patch. You can teleport to the patch like so and just run down to the spirit trees. That way you have access to your house, which normally is going to be linked to different shops that sell runes, and then you can get around the world. So I have completed my clue and now no longer needed in the wilderness. Let's go get a new looting bag so I can put all my items back into my my new looting bag. The best way to do this is to go to LMS, and if you have points stored up or if you're good at PvP, you can buy some bags for 1 point each. Very cheap. I personally don't do this. I use other methods which I'll show later. However, before we do that, let's talk about a very important concept for Ultimate Ironman that we haven't mentioned, which is death banking. This is different from death piling, which we talked about earlier at Lumbridge. Death banking is when you suicide yourself to a boss that has a death bank associated. One example is Arnold and Hespori. Hespori is a boss that when you die to, Arnold will hold all your items. Other examples are Gargoyles, Vorkaz, Nightmare, even Next, the God War Dungeon boss. And I'm telling you this because death banking is very different from death piling. Items in the death bank do not despawn after 1 hour. They are there until you pick them up or you die again. And that's why we bring up this next point. They're also called item retrieval services. And if we look at this quote from the wiki, item retrieval services, if you were to die again with items in there, the previous items held will all be deleted. And many Ultimate Ironmans have lost items, have lost their entire bank like this. Even normal players have lost items, for example at Next, because God War Dungeons is aggressive, and when they die at Next, the items go into the death bank. When they run back towards the death bank, they forget to bring some god items, and the minions in the God War Dungeon kill them before they can reach the chest, making them lose whatever it is in the death bank. It's very tragic. Okay, moving on. Now let's go back to the topic, which is getting a looting bag the normal way. This other way is, people say it's risky because you need to go into the wilderness to kill stuff, but it's not that risky if you know how to mitigate risks. Remember, I have a death pile currently at Lumbridge. It still has maybe 50 minutes left, plenty of time. What that means is I can go into the wilderness with very minimal gear. I could use my whip that I stored in Drainer. That will risk the whip. Or I could actually just buy some maple shortbow and some bronze arrows, or iron arrows, whatever arrow I chose, and use these really cheap items to go farm my next looting bag, so that if I get PK'd, which doesn't happen that often, I will be able to only lose like a couple thousand gold, which at this point in the game is nothing. So let's jump to that. So the first popular spot to get a new looting bag are these skeletons. And there's a couple of them right above Edgevale, and they do drop it semi-frequently. Not the best place to farm it because 1, there's only a few skeletons, and 2, there are a lot of PKers who will see you do this, and you might get PK, which wastes your time because, like I mentioned earlier, you don't lose much. While we're here, let's actually look at Nettles. So I've set my respawn point to Edgevale now, and Nettles is another way to death pile. And keep in mind, we still have the pile right now in Lumbridge, and now we're going to create a second death pile. And you can do this however many times you want. But basically, you die here and you respawn in Edgevale, and your items are in the pile there. I'm going to pick it up because we're going to move on to now where most Ultimate Ironman farm their bags, and these are the red spiders. It is also a very popular PK spot because us Ultimate Ironman go here a lot. That's why I said earlier, whenever I go here, I only bring minimal risk. In this case, a couple runes and a maple shortbow. You can also try the rogues. They drop it a lot less often. You're not gonna, well, some people do rogues because it's safer. It's like only level 1 wilderness. But honestly, just go to the red spiders right above the rogues. They are only a couple levels deeper, but they drop the bags in 1 in 17, I believe. Very, very common. So here we are. These are the red spiders. There are bots here always looting those red spider eggs as well. They can scare you if you're new because you might think they're PKer. And there are PKers here. A lot of good Ultimate Ironman have been completely PK'd here. And now that we have a bag, come back to Lumbridge, and our items are still there. It's a little disconcerting at first, but Once you get used to it, you realize no one's going to see those and they're only for you. Actually, even if you let it despawn after an hour, they still will not show up to normal players. Normal players will never see them. And now we just pick everything back up. We go to Ferox Enclave now. In the old days, you had to go step in level 1 Wilderness to store everything, which was also risky. Some people have been PK'd going to Wilderness to store their bags. They've updated it recently where I can just go to the Ferox Enclave and very safely store all my items. I think it was a pretty good update for Ultimate Ironman. Some might disagree because now there's less risk and the game mode became easier, but at the end of the day, everyone plays by their own fun definition. And for me, I did not like the fact that I have to step into level 1 Wilderness to store my stuff. I'm okay with farming a bag in the Wilderness. That is part of the risk, but I'm not. I like it now that we can go to the Ferox Enclave to store all my juicy loot that I accumulated over the years. So guys, that concludes the desk mechanics tutorial for anyone who's thinking about doing Ultimate Ironman. I know it looks like it's a lot, but actually once you get used to it, it is very not as time consuming as you think. Maybe 5 to 10 minutes extra time spent doing this after every accidental death or for every clue. It does get annoying though, I will agree with that. It could be annoying, but it's not the end of the world, and if this is what's preventing you from trying out Ultimate Ironman, I highly suggest you give this a go. Give it a chance and see how you feel about it. Because once you got past the fact that death is not scary and that the game mode has a lot to offer, because you need to plan and you don't need to do anything bank related. You just need to plan out your journey a lot more. So I hope to see a lot more Ultimate Ironmans out there. I will make more guides to help everyone understand the fun of this game mode. Thank you everyone and have a great day.